Good morning. Welcome to the OHSU Effect Inside Health and Science at OHSU. I'm Lacey Evans, and today is a really fun show because it's dedicated to the BodyWorlds and the Brain exhibit. We're going to talk to a researcher and hear about what she's finding. We're also going to talk about music and the brain, and later we're going to learn about something called deep brain stimulation. But first, an introduction into the BodyWorlds exhibit. With me now is OMSI President Nancy Stuber and Dennis Bourdette, the head of the OHSU Brain Institute. Thanks for being here, you guys. So, Nancy, let's start with you. Tell us about BodyWorlds.
We're really excited about this exhibit, BodyWorlds and the Brain, that we're bringing to OMSI. It is, I've been doing exhibits for a long time, and I can tell you that it is the most powerful exhibit that I've ever seen because it's real human bodies, people who have donated their bodies for educational purposes, and it gives us an extraordinary look at the human body, and in this case, an opportunity to learn specifically about the brain.
And this isn't the first time that BodyWorlds has been to OMSI, though.
You're right. We have hosted an exhibit, BodyWorlds, a couple of years ago. It was a very popular exhibit, and this is the same producer, but new bodies, new specimens, and with a particular emphasis on the brain.
Yeah, is that why you wanted the OHSU Brain Institute to be involved with this show?
Exactly. OHSU was a great partner the first time that we brought the exhibit into Portland. And in this case, OHSU's brain research is extraordinary and something that people don't really know about right here in Oregon. And it's a great opportunity to work with the experts and interpret this exhibit for the public and also shine a spotlight on the work that's happening at OHSU.
Well, I think this would be a great time to ask Dennis and talk about the OHSU Brain Institute. So Dennis Bourdette, tell us what it is. What do you do?
Well, the OHSU Brain Institute is one of Oregon's best-kept secrets. At OHSU, we have over 1,000 professionals that are performing research on brain and brain diseases, and also others who are involved with caring for people with brain diseases. OHSU consistently ranks in the top 5 in National Institute of Health funding for brain research. We're all glad to hear about the Ducks and being number 9 in football, but we are consistently in the top 5 in the nation in brain-related research.
So why did you want the Brain Institute to be involved with this BodyWorlds exhibit?
I think this is a great opportunity to educate the public about the brain and how it works and how it sometimes doesn't work because of illness. And it's also a wonderful opportunity for us to showcase the wonderful things that are going on at OHSU through the OHSU Brain Institute.
What is the biggest challenge, you think, in getting the public to understand your research and what the Brain Institute does?
The biggest challenge is making things understandable. The brain is incredibly complex. It has billions of nerve cells that communicate with each other electrically through trillions of connections. And so just understanding the basic science can be difficult. But I firmly believe that anybody can understand how the brain works and how diseases cause brain problems and problems with the brain functioning.
Well, I want to go back to Nancy because I want to talk more about BodyWorlds and what people will actually see when they come down to OMSI.
Well, the exhibit includes human bodies that were bequeathed upon their death by the individuals for educational purposes and display. And these bodies have been prepared with this process called plastination. It's a really unique process that was invented by Dr. Von Hagens, who produced this exhibit, and he did it first for medical education. And in this process, the bodily fluids and soluble fats are replaced with really a resins that, through a vacuum process, allow the blood vessels and other organs to be impregnated with this resin that then is hardened. And so it doesn't need to be in fluid to preserve it. It can be in the open air. And what that allows is us to look at these dissected human bodies and at the organs in a really new way. and be able to see up close things that you wouldn't otherwise be able to see.
Yeah, what is kind of the reaction to that when people come in and see these specimens for the first time?
It was, I guess the one word I'd use is awe. The human body is magnificent. It is both, as Dennis said, very resilient and also very fragile. And I think you gain the appreciation for that when you're able to see actual human bodies. And the reason that actual bodies are so instructive is, unlike models, they show the uniqueness of every individual.
So this BodyWorlds show has a focus on the brain. So are we going to see brains?
Yes. You'll be able to see brains. You'll also be able to see some of the physical anatomy, so understand neurons and the whole nervous system, see brains, learn more about brain development and how that changes things like what's going on in the teenage brain and how is the brain developing, and in aging brains. So what is the impact of a disease like Alzheimer's on the brain? We'll also go into topics like consciousness and personality and learning and memory and those things that are the functions of the brain, and we'll be able to learn what the research is telling us about that.
Well, Dennis, when you hear what Nancy is describing, do you think it's going to raise people's interest in wanting to learn more about this?
I certainly hope so. I think that the visual impact of the display, plus the information that's going to be provided, I think people will find very exciting. Just take one little example. I think any parent would like to learn more about the teenage brain. So I think that it's going to be a very engaging and exciting display for people to come and see.
And again, you're head of the OHSU Brain Institute, but you're also a doctor and a researcher. So what is your area of expertise?
My particular area of expertise is multiple sclerosis.
Okay. Tell me a little bit more about that.
Well, multiple sclerosis is a relatively common disease of the brain. Typically starts in young and middle-aged adulthood. It can last the lifetime of an individual and over time causes destruction of bits and pieces of the brain and spinal cord and often results in permanent disability.
And am I correct in saying that the Northwest has higher rates of multiple sclerosis?
The Northwest has a higher rate of MS than southern parts of the United States. It probably affects about one person out of 700 here in Oregon.
Do we know why?
We believe that MS in general occurs in colder climates, perhaps because of low vitamin D levels, maybe one factor, but there's still a belief that it may actually be triggered by a virus that you're more likely to get exposed to in northern climates. But the viral etiology of MS still needs to be worked out.
What are some other diseases and disorders that you're researching up there at the Brain Institute?
Well, you name it, and probably somebody up there is doing research on it. I think it's important to realize that when we talk about brain diseases, we're talking about stroke, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's disease, epilepsy. We're talking about brain tumors. We're also talking about psychiatric illnesses, which are brain diseases. So we're talking there about schizophrenia, depression, attention deficit disorder, autism, traumatic brain injury and the consequences of that. And addiction is another important brain illness that's actively being studied at OHSU. So it's really a range of problems that are very important to the health and well-being of individuals and the nation.
That's great. Well, Nancy, I want to get you back on real quick. We're almost out of time, but tell people when BodyWorlds is coming to OMSI.
BodyWorlds opens on October 20th to the public, and right now, if you go to the OMSI website, we are pre-selling tickets, and there are discounts available in the pre-sale. So it's a great time to buy tickets, and we look forward to opening it. We're installing right now, and we look forward to opening in a few weeks.
How long is the run?
It'll be until March. So there's a nice long period of time, and throughout that time, there'll be lots of programs and events going on to stay in touch with.
Great. Well, that's OMSI President Nancy Stuber and Dennis Bourdette, the head of the OHSU Brain Institute, joining me today. And coming up next on the OHSU Effect, Dr. Mary Stenzel-Poor, an OHSU brain researcher. She's next on FM News 101 KXL.